What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for October 23rd, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. We kick off the NFL week tonight. But first, let's start with your team, your town, your 76ers. Opened the season with a 117-116 win up in Boston in an exciting game. And really, this team's going to be fun. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to put it. And Maxey and Edgecombe just were outstanding. Tyrese dropped 40. VJ Edgecombe dropped 34, third most by a rookie in his debut. But just the way he saw the court, ran up and down, the energy he brought was outstanding. Joe had a tough night shooting. He was on a minutes restriction. He talked about it after the game. He said it was hard to get into a rhythm. However, this is what he needs to do if he wants to remain on the court. So at least through game one, it looks like he's getting it. It's on his mind, kind of understands what he needs to do to quote unquote ramp it up. But what a fun game. I mean, it just, compared to last year, this was absolutely a fun game to watch. And I think Edgecombe it's one game. I get it. But just the way he saw it was his career high. He didn't score that much in college either. So I think the sky is the limit for him. But what a fun game. Good way to start the season. I like Dominic Barlow playing with a little bit of chip on his shoulder on a two-way contract. It's going to be fun. It's at least entertaining. They might not win every night. They likely won't win every night. But I think we saw glimpses and potential because truthfully, that game, if Joe was back to where Joe will be, game could have been a blowout. And I know the Celtics are shorthanded and whatnot, but I love it. Doesn't do anything to get me off the bandwagon, especially since they were down 11 going into the fourth quarter and were able to come back. It's just, again, sign me up. Good start to the season. I am excited now to see where Edgecombe goes. I don't know. Quietly, maybe a dark horse for Rookie of the Year. We'll see how things go with Cooper Flagg down in Dallas. But good start to the season. They're off until Saturday where they have their home opener. But boom. All right. So the other story was the AI documentary dropped today. I'm looking forward to seeing that and watching that. Apparently it's like a 3-part series, but he's been making his rounds. He's on Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey's podcast this week. I haven't got a chance to listen to that yet, but very excited to see the AI doc. Everything's coming up Sixers. You got to love it. It does lead to today's trivia question, though. VJ Edgecombe had 34 in his NBA debut. It is the third most in NBA history. Who has the most points in their NBA debut? Hit me up on the Discord channel. First link in the description. Back to the Future voice and text line is 267-495-8531. But who had the most points in their NBA debut? VJ Edgecombe coming in at number 3, breaking the Sixers record previously set by Allen Iverson. Eagles practice yesterday. A.J. Brown did not due to a hamstring. Probably, I'm hoping and thinking this is more of like a veteran rest day. We'll monitor that today to see where that goes. Adoree Jackson sat out. Cam Jurgens, Elise Ojulari sat out, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But again, it's Wednesday. Today and tomorrow will be the big determining factors. BG was a full participant. Seemed very happy after practice. So we'll see. I mean, especially if Ojulari is going to be out, might see some playing time there from BG. The practice window for Jacorian Bennett opened. He was a limited participant. That's huge, especially if Adoree Jackson is not going to be able to play. But lots of things to look at as we head toward this week's game. Don't forget Brotherly Birds Breakdown. We will be recording tonight. It'll be out sometime during the second half of Thursday Night Football. We'll talk about BG, recap the Vikings game, and get you ready for the Kelly Green Giants game. That is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. All right, the Union have an opponent for their first round playoff. They will face the Chicago Sky starting Sunday down at Subaru Park. First round in MLS is best of 3, and then it goes to single elimination. Still weird to me why they do that, but the Union have an opponent. It'll be the Chicago Sky starting Sunday night at 5:55 down at Subaru Park. Flyers are in Ottawa tonight. They look to continue their hot streak rolling. Again, it's kind of winter sports might give us something to cheer for this season, especially after the Eagles finish up their season. And again, I know. But man, that Sixers game, I still can't get over that. How fun was that game to watch? This is the most fun I've had watching a Sixers game in a few years. And Joe is only going to get better once he starts getting his sea legs under him. Yes, sign me up. All right, let's do some quick housekeeping. First, yesterday, I always like to make sure I'm communicating everything, and I completely missed this on my notes. Thank you to a follower on TikTok for pointing this out. But when we were doing the Hall of Fame spotlight on Gary Williams, I inadvertently left out, and I had it on my notes. I went back and checked and just skipped over it, maybe subconsciously because I'm a Michigan guy. But Gary Williams also coached for a few years at Ohio State before going to Maryland. So thank you to the follower on TikTok for pointing that out. But Gary Williams, yesterday's Hall of Fame spotlight, he also coached at Ohio State. Be sure to follow me on social media at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Jimbo_Mont and subscribe. All that other good stuff. Review, leave a comment, like. I try to get to all the comments at some point. So let's have some good Philly sports discussion and continue to spread the word, outsmart the algorithm. And then don't forget, I think it drops tomorrow. I'll confirm that. Let me write that down. But I did appear on the Clashing Conferences members podcast. I had a good time talking some baseball, football, and of course NBA. We even touched on a little college football as well, talking about James Franklin. But that will be available tomorrow wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. So be sure to go check them out. And as always, we are a proud member of the Clashing Conferences podcast. All right, let's get into it. October 23rd. First, we're going to go back to 1983. Flyers beat the Maple Leafs 8-5 down at the Spectrum. Glenn Cochran and Bill Barber each had a goal and 2 assists. Rookie Rich Suter had a goal, which was his first NHL goal, making the Sutter brothers. I always forget whether I've heard it pronounced both ways. It's either Suter or Sutter, but the Sutter brothers, first NHL family with 6 brothers who scored goals in the NHL game. So Flyers win. Sutter gets a goal, becoming the 6th Sutter brother. That's hard to say. The Sutter brother. To score a goal, setting an NHL record. That happened in 1983. 10 years later, and this pains me to even talk about still to this day, Phillies were down 5-1 after 6 innings, stormed back to score 5 in the 7th, giving a 13-year-old me hope that there would be a Game 7. Lenny Dykstra hit a 3-run homer, his 4th of that World Series. Phillies take a 6-5 lead into the 9th inning, and then we all know what happened. No need to rehash it, but Joe Carter, 3-run walk-off, second walk-off in World Series history to win the series. But, man, I remember just being devastated and very it's over. That big 8th inning happened, and then Joe Carter happened. I'm sorry, the big 7th inning happened, and then Joe Carter happened. But still, to this day, Joe Carter haunts me, PTSD, whatever you want. And I saw a lot of people yesterday talking about who are we rooting for in the World Series, Dodgers or Blue Jays. And a lot of people saying the Blue Jays because can't root for the Dodgers because they beat the Phillies. Nope, rooting for the Dodgers because I hate the Blue Jays that much due to the fact that Joe Carter ruined my childhood. And if you ruin your childhood, you can go to Philly Goat, use the promo code Jim Montgomery. They have a shirt that says Joe Carter ruined my childhood. True story. And it's really, that's the shirt from the stories I hear that got John Kruk involved with Philly Goat, because John Kruk famously said, he ruined my adulthood. So, But Phillies lose the World Series. Joe Carter in dramatic fashion on this day in 1993. Still to this day, though, one of the most beloved teams in Philly sports history. Those 93 Phillies. Macho Row. All right, 2005. Eagles played the Chargers down at the Link. I remember this game well. They were down 17-13 in the fourth quarter. The Chargers attempt a field goal with 2:37 left. Quentin Michael blocked it. Matt Ware picked it up, returned it 65 yards for the go-ahead score. And then Drew Brees, remember, kids, he used to play for the Chargers, had the Chargers driving, got them to the Eagles 37, and then Sheldon Brown forced a Rashae Caldwell fumble. Darwin Walker recovered. Eagles win. And what a game for the Eagles that year. That game gave us hope amid all of the T.O. Donovan drama. They held LaDainian Tomlinson to 7 yards on 17 carries, that was peak LaDainian Tomlinson right there. Unfortunately for the Eagles, this would be their last win with Terrell Owens. Things got very, very weird leading up to the Washington game that week. But for 1 week, the last time with the T.O. Donovan tandem, Eagles beat the Chargers 20-17 after Matt Ware returned a blocked field goal. The defense stepped up, held down LaDainian Tomlinson. And like I said, after this game, things got very, very weird for the Eagles. And then in 2022, Phillies beat the Padres 4-3 to go to the World Series, thanks in part to a 2-run shot in the 8th inning with 2 outs by Bryce Harper, better known as Bedlam at the Bank. One of the greatest home runs in Philly sports history. Unfortunately for the Phillies, they did not win the World Series as the bats went cold against the Astros. And I felt this was a good time to talk about this. A lot in the news yesterday about Bryce and being traded and things like that. Joel Sherman, who is a respected MLB writer, said he would not be surprised if the Phillies do trade Bryce Harper, which led to Scott Boras saying, I don't think anything the Phillies are trying to trade him, but did advocate for his client. That all is in following the comments by Dave Dombrowski that Bryce Harper wasn't an elite player last year, which, I mean, if you watched any Phillies games, you know he wasn't elite. So I don't think this is a major story yet, but I do feel that this is one of those times where there's smoke, there might be fire. So we're going to continue to monitor it. I don't think the Phillies should trade Bryce Harper. Not so much because of what he means to the team and this, that, and the other. I don't think they're going to be able to get what his value is. I think you're going to be taking 80 cents on the dollar right now because what Dombrowski said, maybe he shouldn't have said it, but what he said was true. He's not an elite player right now, so we'll see what happens with that. But I felt this was the perfect spot to mention it. But Bryce Harper, with his biggest moment as a member of the Phillies, happened on this day in 2022. Bedlam at the Bank, the 2-run shot that sent the Phillies to the World Series. We know how it played out. Ranger Suarez came in and got the 2-out save, but we were living large. And my, 3 years later, how things have changed drastically for Bryce Harper and the Phillies. This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, a growing community of diehard fans turning their sports passion into something special. Whether you're looking for unique shows, want to launch your own podcast but don't have the time, or need production services, the ClashingConferences.com has everything you need. Explore fan-driven content, become a member, or tap into their media services to level up your brand. That's ClashingConferences.com, where fans' voices get heard. All right, today is Thursday. That means it's time for Throwback Thursday, brought to you by Philly Goat. I mentioned the Joe Carter ruined my childhood, but they have more than that. Go, just scroll through their site. I haven't told you to do this in a while. New shirts coming out. They have new Sixers shirt. My aunt reached out yesterday and was asking for the promo code because there's a nice new Sixers Grateful Dead tie-dye shirt inspired by the Lithuanian team from the Olympics in 92. So go check out what they have. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Take 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com. promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off. All right, so for Throwback Thursday, I haven't talked a lot about this week because of all of my excitement for the Sixers, but it is a Kelly Green week. Eagles will be donning the Kelly Green down at the Link on Sunday. I'm excited to be able to wear my Brandon Graham jersey. It's finally going to be cool enough and not super hot at a game to wear a jersey. So I figured, why not? Let's go back and look at the Kelly Green era. Now, Eagles always had Kelly Green as their color. But the Kelly Green I'm talking about is specific to an 11-season period between 1985 and 1995. Those are the ones they're going to be wearing on Sunday. And essentially, that whole era coincides with the Randall Cunningham era. He came in 1986, left after the 95 season. So I think of all of the great players from Reggie, Jerome, Seth Joyner, Clyde Simmons, Eric Allen, all of those players were great, but one player essentially was there for the entire period. So I always look at it as the Randall Cunningham era. Still have his autograph hanging up here, one of my all-time favorites. Lots of great players. Unfortunately, they only won 2 playoff games during the Kelly Green era. That was against the Saints, and then that game with Ray Rhodes against the Lions on New Year's Eve down at the Vet. But some highlights from the Kelly Green era. Obviously, you had the Fog Bowl. You had Randall's just amazing plays. Reggie White having 21 sacks in 12 games. But I forgot about this until I was researching it. Do you guys remember when everything, like the NFL, to this day, they're still like that to a certain point, I think. But they were very strict with the uniforms. And the Eagles always had to wear white shoes with the Kelly Green jerseys. Buddy Ryan said, no, I think they'll look sharp with black. The players felt like they looked and played faster in the black shoes, and they all got fined for it, but they always wore the black shoes. I would love for the Eagles to come out, especially against the Giants, an old school NFC East battle. It'd be great if somebody came out in black shoes. So if anybody from the Eagles is listening, wear some black shoes out of the Buddy Ryan days. Another uniform tweak they had was during the 1989 season when they put black electrical tape over the wings in honor of Doug Scoville, who was the Eagles quarterback coach who died late in the season of a heart attack. And really, that was the turning point in Randall Cunningham's career with the Eagles, because he was sort of like the mentor, the father figure. He was kind of progressing Randall along. And Randall really, with the Eagles, was never the same after that. He had a great 1990 season with Rich Kotite, but that really, I think, impacted him a lot. But I just remember how cool that looked, honoring Doug Scoville with the black electrical tape. And it literally was black electrical tape. Like, they didn't redo the helmets or anything. They just went into the supply closet and put black. And like, as I was thinking back on it, you could see, if you watch some of it, some of the guys just weren't as, I guess, steady-handed as the others. So some of the lines were a little crooked. And then, of course, who could forget 1991 when Jerome Brown tragically passed away? They had the JB patches. Those are the most I don't know this. I'm just speculating because it's one of the ones I want. But one of the most sought-after jerseys. I would love either Reggie White or Randall Cunningham Kelly Green jersey with the JB patch. But they are wearing them this weekend for the Giants game. One of 3 times they'll wear them. They're wearing them against Washington, and then they will wear them at the November game in Dallas. Would love to see them wear the white, but that's a whole other story. But the Eagles are undefeated since they brought them back in 2023. Some great moments already since they brought them back. You had the Miami game that we talked about yesterday, the overtime win against Buffalo in the rain down at the Link, and then, of course, the play of the season last year, the Saquon Barkley leap against the Jaguars. So I'm pumped for the Kelly Green game. That is Throwback Thursday. Eagles, Giants, Kelly Green. Be sure to go to Philly Goat. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And who knows, if Philly Goat is out there listening, maybe they can do some sort of inspired Kelly Green shirt that incorporates the black shoes. And I saw some cool pictures of the Eagles gangrene defense. that I think would make great t-shirts for Philly Goats. So we'll see where that goes. But Throwback Thursday, spotlighting the Kelly Green jerseys, brought to you by Philly Goat. All right, and then finally today, sticking with an Eagles theme, our 2025 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame inductee spotlight is on Jeffrey Lurie, who is receiving the Philadelphia Medal. He is the fourth recipient of this award, and the Philadelphia Medal exemplifies the spirit of Philadelphia sports, giving back to the community. Typically, this is for non-players who have had a huge impact, not only on Philadelphia sports, but also the Philadelphia community. So Jeffrey Lurie is receiving that this year. Other recipients include Ed Snyder and the Sables, Ed and Steve Sable from NFL Films. But just Jeffrey Lurie, I think, exemplifies the spirit of Philadelphia sports. Despite being a Boston native, bought the Eagles May 6, 1994. Since then, the Eagles have a 281, 207, and 3 record in the regular season. Since Lurie took over, 19 winning seasons, 19 playoff berths, 11 NFC East titles, which is the most of any team in the NFC East during that time. 4 NFC championships. They've won 2 Super Bowls. We're close in the other 2, but just changed the entire experience for Eagles fans. Brought in the midnight green. The one knock I will have against Jeffrey Lurie is he got rid of the Kelly Green jerseys, but kudos to him for bringing them back in 2023. Very involved with the Eagles Youth Partnership. Obviously, the Eagles Autism Foundation for autism funding and research. He's won numerous awards and honors in his time here in Philly. And probably to me, one of the biggest things that stands out about Jeffrey Lurie was when, despite not winning a Super Bowl, called the Eagles the gold standard of the NFL, and we all laughed at him. And I think this is a good time to apologize to Jeffrey Lurie since he is bringing home the Philadelphia Medal. He was right. The Eagles right now are the gold standard of the NFL. So thank you for everything you've done, Jeffrey, since you bought the team in 1994. Jeffrey Lurie will receive the Philadelphia Medal November 6th down at Live Casino and just be honored and join the other Philadelphia area sports legends. So Jeffrey Lurie, we thank you. Now let's go out and get a win on Sunday. Wearing the Kelly Greens, which I love. On this day in 2022, it was Bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper sends the Phillies to the World Series for the first time since 2009. 2005, Eagles get their last win in the T.O. Donovan era before things got weird. Thanks to a Matt Ware blocked field goal return for a touchdown, they shut down LT, which was probably more impressive than winning on a blocked field goal. Phillies lose the World Series when Joe Carter hit the 9th inning walk-off up in Toronto on this day in 1993. And then in 1983, Rich Sutter scored a goal, becoming the 6th Sutter. I think it's Sutter. We're going to go with Sutter for the sake of argument, but becoming the 6th Sutter to score a goal in an NHL game, setting the Major League, or NHL record, Major League. Whew, I'll get it right. All right, so we'll have more on the Eagles injury news as they return to practice today. Hopefully, I mean, it does look like BG is going to at least play somewhat. I don't know how much. Vic Fangio the other day did say when they traded for Khalil Mack when he was in Chicago, he was like, the powers that be said he was on a 20 to 25 snap count or something along those lines. He's like, he played 45 and then just gave a smile. So something tells me we're going to see Brandon Graham in this game. And then something tells me something big's going to happen with BG. But Sixers celebrating their win over the Celtics. We'll have more on the Flyers tomorrow as they're up in Ottawa. And of course, tomorrow's Friday. That means it's time for Fridays with AI. So stay tuned for that. You never know when AI is going to pop in. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for October 23rd, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.